Welcome to the continuing EPIC series, UCC Course Approval, Development, and Assessment. In this episode, we're going to look at the provisional approval process. First, let's look at a tentative schedule. We realize that it's going to be difficult to add critical, ethical, and integrative thinking into your classes, your UCC courses, all at the same time. So what we've developed is a building process. Next year, we're going to assess critical thinking and those state outcomes that go with the thinking. With critical thinking, start looking at our reading, writing, speaking intensive courses so we can make sure that we can assess those state outcomes also. And then start teaching about how to teach ethical thinking and critical thinking in the classroom. So each year you see it's going to build. And so by the time we get through this process, those three skills will be integrated within the UCC courses, as well as in the reading, writing, and speaking courses, we'll have those state outcomes also. So we're trying to break this down into as small increments as we can, while at the same time still being able to collect data and showing that we're moving forward. What needs to happen this year? By March 15th, in order for any and all courses to be listed on the UCC list, a faculty member, must complete the first page of the basic skills course form, if it's for the basic skills, state basic skills, or the first page of the liberal education course form, which is for the science, social science, and humanities. The courses that can apply this year are courses that are currently on the UCC list. So just because a course is currently listed doesn't mean it doesn't apply. It does have to apply to stay on the list. And the other courses that are eligible were those that were on the broader core prior to the current UCC list. So they got dropped. We want to try to bring them back. Now, will courses in the future be able to apply to get on this list? Yes, they will. But this year, we want to just keep it to the courses that, again, are on the UCC list or used to be in the broader core. But we're thinking in the next year that new courses can start to apply to get on the UCC list. But we just want to go through the process once before to see how it works. Now, here there are two basic forms, and these forms were sent out by the provost depending on when you're watching this, several weeks ago. There's a form for the basic skills courses, and there's also a form for the liberal education courses. So people need to make sure that you're filling out the wrong form, or right form. You don't want to fill out the wrong one. You want to fill out the right form. So if your basic skills, your English comp, your speech, and your math, this is the form that you will fill out. The form is several pages long, but for this first step, you're just going to fill out basically pages 1 and 2. And this is page 1. So the first thing is you want to make sure you're doing the correct form. So again, this is the basic skills courses. You're just going to follow the directions, put in the course, the credit hours. The person that is filling out the form, that's going to take responsibility for that class. And then anyone else who's going to be involved in the process of making this course a UCC course or to meet the criteria for a UCC course. This should include, this list down here, should include every full-time faculty that's going to be teaching the course, as well as adjuncts that teach it on a regular basis. We want this to be a collaborative process. We do not want one person doing all the work in terms of developing the assignments to keep the course on the UCC list. So again, we put one person's name here, but there should probably, if it's English Comp 1, every full-time faculty and any regular adjuncts should be on this list. It's also recommended that one person does not take the responsibility for all the courses in a certain area to do this application process. To give you an example, in biology, what I did is I made a list of the courses that our department's going to have on the list or wants to have on the list, and I passed those courses out to the people that primarily teach them. They will be the ones that are responsible for filling out these forms. So pretty much everyone in the biology department has a course they are responsible for. We did this, 1, to decrease the workload on 1 or 2 people, and 2, because everyone should be involved in this process. We don't want one person doing it all and the other people not having any idea what's going on. So that's the recommended way of doing this. Now what we're going to do in biology, though, is we're all going to have our courses that we've filled the form out for, but then we're going to come together and work together to develop the critical thinking assignments that we're going to do in those courses. For example, we've got several people that teach Anatomy and Physiology 1. We'll all get together and we'll come up with a general idea of an assignment that we'll all do. They may not be exactly the same, but a general assignment that we'll all do, that we've all agreed on and that we've all worked on together. So one person to do the form, pass those out to all people in the department that are involved so everyone gets the process down, but then work collaboratively to develop the assignments. Okay, then you come down to the second part, and what you'll notice here is what you are doing by filling out these first 2 pages is you are agreeing for provisional inclusion into the UCC list. By doing that, you are agreeing to do these 5 things. Submit or revise this course proposal form and any other materials that's requested by the UCC committee. Participate in professional development to prepare to teach and assess the UCC liberal education and state general education outcomes. Teach and assess the statewide general education outcomes related to your area, and teach and assess Vincennes University's liberal education outcomes using UCC faculty approved assessment methods. And that involves using the rubric that we talked about in the previous episode. And then you also have to send this form to the college dean so the dean knows what courses are going on this list. You will notice there's only one option here for answers, and that option is yes. Students wish test only had one option, so this is our opportunity to take an easy test. If you don't click yes to all of these, then the course will not be on the UCC list. So this area is important. We need to see a yes here for all these different commitments. So again, this is going to be a process we're going to build on. You're actually going to use this form year after year after year, and you're going to build on this form by adding information on how you're going to assess and teach the university core outcomes as well as the state outcomes. So down here at the bottom, you have who filled out this form, the date, the college. You want to save this form, and it gives you a format to save it. Please save it somewhere where you're going to remember where it is, because again, we're trying to keep the number of forms to a minimum. And so when you finish one section, you'll save it, put it somewhere where you're not going to forget what it is. And also, this identification should help you remember what this form is. And then if you're on a VU computer, if you click on this link, it'll open your email and automatically set up an email to send the copy to Bob Weiss. Now, the second page of this form, you're just going to copy and paste the course description from our online catalog. So again, this form is several pages long, but for now, for the March 15th deadline, you are just sending this page and this page. So when you finish it, save it. Again, you'll have the other pages of the document. For right now, you can ignore those, save the document, and then send it to Bob Weiss. So this was the basic skills. The form for the liberal education, the first 2 pages are pretty much the same as what you saw with the basic skills, so you just need to make sure you're filling out the right form. This is for the science, the humanities, and the social science. So here we put in one of our anatomy courses. I'm going to be the person that's going to go through the approval process, but again, I'm going to work with other people that are teaching this course. So I will not be working on the assignments by myself. I will be working in a collaborative manner with other people. These commitments are the same. So again, you just have to X the yes. Here's who's filing it. Here's the date, college. And again, I'm going to save it in this type of format. And then I'm going to email it to Bob Weiss. Again, that's the important part. No is not an option on there. Second page is the same. I just go to the online catalog and copy and paste my course information there. I save the document, send it to Bob, and then again save it somewhere where I remember where it's going to be so I can come back to it as we build on these courses. The next deadline is going to be April 12th, and this is going to be the deadline for liberal education course faculty to fill out the submission form showing how the course will address critical thinking and the state outcomes related to critical thinking. If you're teaching basic skills, your English, your math, your speech, once you do this approval form, then you're done for the year. But you'll come back in the fall. So this deadline is for the science, humanities, and social science classes that are trying to get on the liberal education core list, UCC list. So that is the next deadline. So between March 15th and April 12th, for any course to be placed on the UCC list, A faculty member responsible for filling out that form needs to or has to attend professional development on how to develop a critical thinking assignment. We are also recommending, and we want everyone teaching that class should attend a professional development so they understand the process, so they can come up with new ideas on how to teach and assess critical thinking. The professional development sessions will include how to map, develop an assignment for that rubric. We'll give examples. Those examples should be helpful in designing your own. We don't want to tell people what assignment to do. We want people to be creative. We want you to use what you're already doing. And again, as I stated, I think in a previous episode, a lot of people are doing critical thinking in their classes. They just don't have it structured in a way that they can assess it based on the rubric. I've heard several faculty say, we have these great discussions, but we just don't write these things down. So the students don't write down that they can see both sides of the issue and so on. So a lot of it's just going to be structuring assignments that are already going on. And again, that description will occur or will need to be sent by April 12th. That description of the assignment is part of the form that you will send us by March 15th. So again, like I said earlier, we're going to build on that form. We'll go over that section of the form in the next professional development between the March 15th and April 12th deadline. So what science is going to do, science courses are going to develop critical thinking assignments that we can use that university rubric for. So everyone's going to use that same rubric for critical thinking, but for each area, the state outcomes that it's going to assess are going to be different. So here's our rubric. Again, the goal for science courses, social science and humanities, is to develop assignments that this rubric can be used to assess. And again, remember, by assessing these dimensions of the rubric, we're also assessing these state outcomes. So by the end of next year, 2014, we should have state outcome data for all the state outcomes that show up in the critical thinking areas for the 3 areas. So again, here are the state outcomes that are mapped to critical thinking. These will need to be part of the assignment for the social science people. And again, same for the humanities. So in terms of how to design and how to teach critical thinking, that will be part of the professional development between March 15th and April 12th. After that, between April 12th and May 10th, the Liberal Education Committee, our job will be to review those descriptions of those assignments to make sure that they're complete enough that they can assess each section of the rubric and thus assess the proper state outcomes. If we feel it doesn't, our goal is not to keep people off the list. Our goal is to help people get on the list. So if we feel there's some issues with an assignment, we will go back to the faculty and help them work through the process to keep or get their list, or get their class, I should say, on the UCC list.